show is exciting and it's fun. Oh, yes.
She really cares.
Well, it's Fenity Live, and I have a real special guest this Fenity Friday, and you're absolutely going to love her. And, you know, your niece or your nephew might recognize her voice from the animated series Curious George. Your aunt or your uncle in New York might remember her as a New York City television journalist. Maybe your friend was even divorced to the sound of her voice. I'm serious, the voice of divorce court. Or you're like me, one of the millions of kids growing up watching daytime TV in the 90s. And of course, many choices. My choice was always Rolonda. Hi, Queen of Reinvention. How are you?
Hey, how are you?
Can I call you Queen of Reinvention? I mean, I feel like that is you. You're always on to whatever the heck you want to do next.
Absolutely. I'll take the Queen of Reinvention. They call me the Reinventionist. So much so I trademarked the word. It's a joy to be a Reinventionist. Yeah.
Speaking of words, I don't know if you see the shocked look on my face, but I just realized that we did not even say your last name. That's how, I mean, what does that mean? That means something. Rolonda Watts, everybody.
Listen, a lot of people don't even know I have a last name. You know, back in the day when I was doing my talk show, they dropped my last name because Roger King, who was selling the show at the time, had all the top 10 markets except for Los Angeles, which is number 2. And he said, we're going to name the show Rolonda, just Rolonda with an exclamation point. And I said, why? I'm an anchor woman in New York City. I'm a reporter. I'm Rolonda Watts. He says, not now. He goes, Watts means something different in LA and we need that market. And that's why they dropped my last name. Can you believe it? But back in the 90s during my talk show, Joe, when you were watching in school, there was Cher, there was Madonna, and there was Rolonda. We were the only 3 really being called by one name back in the time. So
wow.
That was branding before people were even talking about branding, much less their names.
Before I take you on in all sorts of journeys and rabbit holes with me, as you know I love to do, can we talk about the breaking news, the animated series breaking news? What's going on?
Oh, yeah, today. Oh, my gosh. First of all, the good news is I went to a studio today to do my work instead of doing it remotely from home. As many of you may or may not know, one of my reinventions is being a voice actor. And I do a lot of commercials, but I also do mostly animation. And today I went to the studio, which says there's a sign of progress there, but went in to do Kung Fu Panda with DreamWorks. That is, I call it a dream job with DreamWorks today. And it was really exciting to go into the sound studio and work remotely with our directors and producers. But to get outside was delightful.
Was that weird to be back in like real life again?
Yeah, we had to wear masks. We not only had to wear masks, we had to wear masks and the shields as well. And we had to go one at a time. You know, everybody couldn't be in any room together. They were very big precautions, but my goodness, it was nice to stretch your legs and get out of the house for a minute, get out of your closet.
So I've seen you recently. I think you're the one who invited me to Stereo. We've seen each other on Clubhouse. Talk about reinvention. How are you liking these drop-in audio apps?
I like them a lot because I'm an audio person, you know, and, you know, from just knowing me the way you do, Joe, you know, I am a talk show host, so I love the idea of conversation. I like even the idea of the human voice having so much importance. I mean, I think it brings us comfort. There's nothing like the human voice. And I think that's really what's connecting us in a time when all of us are longing for some intimate connection. You know, texting just isn't enough. And looking at you posting pictures of your food on Facebook and IG just isn't enough. But sometimes we need that human connection. And I think that's really what's happening here.
There's no way, tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you were someone who grew up saying that you wanted to be a voice actress, a voiceover person. How did that come about? Is it just, you know, when you're really good at something, it gravitates towards that? Or how did the voice thing come about?
That's part of it. I think that's part of it. When God gives you the gifts will drag you where you have to go. When I was a little girl, I was speaking in complete sentences at 11 months. And wow. I had this deep, raspy voice, and they used to pick on me and call me Froggy. I mean, you should hear my voice when I wake up in the morning. And here was this little skinny kid with this really deep voice. And today I laugh because I'm on Kulapari playing Chief Olga, the chief of the frogs in Kulapari Army of the Frogs. And I said, boy,
Those
that was
bullies knew.
those
Those
bullies
fellow
knew.
kiddos know.
But I've always had a distinct voice. I mean, back, I was an anchor woman and reporter. So many people say it when I hear your voice, it's the voice of home because they think of New York. My talk show, I was in homes all over. It was an international show. So we were all over the world. And, back in the day when you would call 411, the operator knew it was me. They'd be like, is this Rolonda? And they're like, the Rolonda. And I'd be like, yeah, there's only one. But my voice has always been the kind of voice that'll pull you out the other room and make you say, what is Rolonda talking about today?
Which is part of the reinvention, right? That's how you're able to do it. That's your signature, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But, I took courses, I took classes and really trained my voice. I've been a voice actor. I've been behind the mic for 40 years, in news and entertainment, but I've been a voice actor for 25 of those years. And it is just one of the greatest careers on earth. By the way, we just got our 4th season of Lego City Adventure, which we're really excited about. And thank you, kids, for watching.
And where is this scene, Lego City Adventure?
We're on, I think you can catch us on Netflix, but also Nickelodeon and Netflix, I believe, Netflix. But it's called Lego City Adventure, comes on Saturdays, and it's part of that Lego series. Whoever knew when I was an anchor woman and reporter, Joe, that I would later be
paying the bills with Legos,
playing pigeons, pirates, and professors on animations.
You can't make this up. Like, there are these kiddos growing up watching you, and it's so awesome to know that, again, we talk about my growing up, and I love my daytime TV chat shows. That was my thing. To know that there is now another kid, many kids out there growing up with your voice. That's got to be a
Isn't that crazy? That you grew up with the talk show and some other kid is growing up with Professor Wiseman on Curious George.
I know. For 20 years now.
Yeah. Well, we talk about how it remains one of, if not the #1 show in animation, an animated series for kids 1 to 5.
Why? Why do you think it's so successful?
Well, it's really successful, I know, because I know what the team does. When we get our scripts, on the cover of the script, it says, today we are teaching children about magnetism, or we're teaching children about gravity. And they take the education side of it very seriously. I remember when we were first auditioning for the role many, many moons ago, they had hired someone else. And I was so disappointed because I just thought it was so cool that they were making the rocket scientist. Professor Wiseman was now going to be a Black woman and a rocket scientist. And I was like, wow, that's really progressive. It's about 20 years ago. And something happened where they came back around and hired me. And I asked them, I said, what made you hire me to be Professor Wiseman? And they said, because you never talked down to the monkey. And I was like, what? You never talk down to the monkey. And I think that's what we do when we educate children, is we always meet them at eye level.
When did you know that the frog comment from childhood, when did you know that was, a kid can say something and it can be like, oh, depending on the reaction of the other kids, is that a bad thing?
You know what? I always had a very loud, strong voice. I can spook horses. I can tell little boys to leave me alone or I'll beat the crap out of them and mean it. I can go into a network and with a firm voice. And, the voice has so much power. And my voice has been my superpower all my life. I was roaring from the time I was born. And I also played, it gave me an opportunity to play a lot of lead plays in my all-girls high school because, I had the deepest voice. I think I played my first role was Lord Brockhurst from The Boyfriend.
Oh my gosh.
A 76-year-old Englishman. And I played a British accent the whole bit. Today, a lot of my characters, I get called in for British accents. Now, how this little girl from North Carolina who used to play with a British accent now does characters for DreamWorks and Nickelodeon and Netflix with those same voices I did as a kid. The only difference is between those of you who are still making up those voices in the mirror is that I took some courses and classes and took it seriously and invested in myself and my equipment and just stuck with it, good times and bad. And that's what got me here. But I'm going to tell you, it was part of that reinvention. I had to find something new to do when the acting roles physically were slow. When I had done everything in New York, I couldn't go back and do another talk show or go get back on the news. I didn't feel. And it was time to do something new. And thank God I discovered voice acting. And
now
it,
you're
you know, it could
teaching
be anything in your life that you
Yeah.
discover.
Right,
But if
right.
it's something, but a lot of those things, Joseph, do go back to childhood. You know, I think, you know, I used to talk so much, my dad would give me a tape recorder and say, go in your room and tell the story and make up the voices and give me the sound effects. And I think, look what I do today. I mean, you know, like 50 years later, what am I doing? I'm still going into a little room, making up voices, doing the sound effects, you know? And it's
Wow.
just wonderful. I got out of that studio today and I said, can you believe I got paid for this today? I got paid to go in there and make up that crazy voice. And it was so much fun. And it's like being a kid.
Thanks, Dad.
It's like
Thanks,
being
Dad.
a kid again. Never too late to have a happy childhood.
That is, well, or keep it going. That is so wild. You know, it's interesting to me, and now you're teaching it, which I want to talk about. But you said something just a few minutes ago about there was a time in your life where you couldn't call directory assistants. Look it up, everyone. But you couldn't call up and people maybe not go, oh, Rolonda. What was that time like? This is not just when, okay, you've been heading up a series for 20 years, but it's animated, or this is not the voice behind this or the face that was here for a minute. This was one of the many faces and voices plastered everywhere. Can you describe kind of that moment? What was that like?
Well, you know, like I said, all my life I've been known by my voice. In fact, when my friends would go out in New York, my friends would say, "Rolonda, don't say anything," because you know everybody will know it's you. You can change your look, you can change your wig, yeah, but you open that mouth, they're gonna know it's you. And that has served me well, thank goodness, in many ways. It has served me well. It makes me feel so honored when someone from New York, from Brooklyn says, oh my God, I feel home when I hear your voice, because I was all over the landscape of New York for many people. It makes me feel very happy to know that people have many parts of me that they grew up on. You know, I look at Curious George. My little babies who started at 1 and 2 years old on Curious George when I started playing Professor Wiseman are now 20 something, thinking about having their own little babies. It's crazy.
Wow.
You know? And then Joe, you grew up on my show and you know, now look at where we are.
Still in our homes with our
Still
tape
in our
recorders.
homes, watching each other. But I appreciate
it. Blows my mind. And it was such a different time too. Speaking of that, the show, the daytime show, just watching one little clip of it, just the intros and the outros, it was like the topics were not entirely different, but the topics were a little bit different. The of course, style, of course, different, but every little thing, like, you know, it was like, call this number for a transcript and pay $20. Why would I pay $20 for a transcript? Well, every single, do you want to be a guest? I mean, it was just every single thing about that time was a little bit different. Is there anything in particular you miss about that era, that time?
I really miss that, you know, we had an audience that always had an opinion. You never find a New Yorker who doesn't have an opinion. So we always had a raucous audience. And it was just really great to connect with people, like in town hall type settings when the emotions are high, and that's a lot of fun to keep the 5 plates in the air and then expect 3 more to come flying in. It's just great drama to be able to basically be like the whether they call the master of ceremonies or whoever that is in the 3-ring circus that's keeping the whole thing going. That's an exciting, wonderful performance place to be. But I can remember you were bringing up some of those things. I can remember standing there going, call 1-800-4-RO-SHOW or go to Rolonda Show at AOL. I was like, who's going to say stuff like that? Who talks like that? Today we're like .com. And I was like, nobody's going to ever remember that. What do you mean?
I know.
But here we are.
Wow.
Here we
it's
are.
going to be weird looking back at some of these videos that we're doing right now in 2021 where we say subscribe and follow. It's just not going to make sense in the future. It's going to be like, wait, what do you want?
It's like, dial me up.
Right. Call me up. Ring me up. Dial me up. Do that. It's like, whoa, things change so fast. I thought, okay, if we're gonna talk about TV and entertainment and how TV goes in the industry, I thought, let me see what's on TV these days. Okay. So there is one pop quiz, Rolonda.
Okay.
One of the hosts that was on back in the day with the daytime talk show with his same show. He's still on. Do you know who it is?
Jerry.
You're so close. You're kind of right because he does have that judge show. There's one
I am
other.
right.
No, there's one other one. There's one other one. Who's the one other one? Jerry like?
Maury?
Yes.
Okay.
Maury's still on. I tuned in to make sure that it wasn't like a rerun even from just a few years ago. Maury is doing audience-less, no audience. Maury is still there. Can you explain to me, or do we know, or is it because he just capitalized on the you are not and you are the DNA thing?
That's all he does.
But is that maybe the secret? Like he found the one thing that kept working? I mean, how is Maury out of all you guys, even Oprah, Maury's the one on?
Yeah.
Is there an explanation to that?
Well, yeah, because the audience is watching.
Mm.
If the audience wasn't watching, he wouldn't be there. It's what the market will bear and demand. And that's one of the marketing demands.
Yeah, it doesn't look as glamorous anymore. It's taping out in Connecticut and no live studio. It doesn't.
And
look
it's like I know it's like you pretty much know what's going to happen, and then again, and then you really don't. You just got to watch with your jaw open.
All the things we had to do in 2020 to get out of the house, and I'm not even talking the mental stuff, right? I'm talking about like, okay, oh shoot, I forgot my mask, right? I forgot, and then and there came a point towards the end of 2020 or beginning of 2021 where I was like, trying to figure out if I should use this mask or this other mask. And I was putting on 2 different masks. And I thought, at some point, things are either going to work out for me or they're not. It's not about like which vaccine I was able to get or not get, or do I have on 1 mask or 2 or what's. It's like, okay, did I try and avoid this and did I try and protect other people or did I not? Right? It was
right.
Like,
well,
at some
there
point,
you go.
And that kind of goes back to what you've said.
Well, I wish you could see the mask I had on today. It is camouflage to match my outfit.
Oh, is it?
Yes. And then I have a shield that goes on that says my name across it, Rolonda.
Just What's the strangest thing you found yourself doing? Maybe not so strange in a non-COVID world, but what's the strangest thing you've done in this COVID time?
Phone sex.
Ah, really? Have you really?
I'm kidding.
Oh, no, she's not. I feel like
I thought it'd be a good promo for you. Everybody's horny.
Oh my God. I'm just gonna go with yes. The answer is yes. The tabloids finally have something to write about again. Finally have something to write about,
right? What is the strangest thing? Well,
I like the original answer, but okay.
I know. Well, you can go with that.
I
think it's the strangest
What's the second
thing.
Strangest?
The second strangest thing. I think it's all the technology we have to be responsible for.
Yeah.
To survive and start these new businesses and to reinvent ourselves. I mean, all the things that we used to do as physical actors, whether it was commercial audition or a sitcom or drama or a film, you go in there, there's somebody running the camera, there's somebody else doing this, and then there's a casting director reading that. And you've got a little team going here. All you got to do is go in there and deliver the goods. Now at home, you got to get a backdrop. You got to get the lights and understand what you're doing with the lights. You got to get a microphone. You got to know how to label things and send them in. It's a whole new day. And I don't think we're going back, Joseph. I really don't. I think the cat is out the bag, the genie's out the bottle. And they're going to save so much money with us being at home. One of the things I find, though, is that all the hours tend to blend together. I mean, how do you know when it's the weekend or when work's supposed to be over?
Correct.
And you think about all the time we would spend like driving places and parking and all that's gone. So now we're just working twice as hard, I think.
So you're taking yourself out to dinner tonight. What else are you doing to march into this next big chapter of us we're all reemerging? We talked about reinvention. What are you doing to reemerge?
Well, you know what? I am so excited. My reinvention retreat has really taken off. That's something that you can follow on Clubhouse. If some of this stuff resonates with you. In fact, let me be honest with you. The reinvention retreat, my reinventionists that I call them, were the ones who inspired me to become a voice acting masterclass teacher. they were like part of what, a lot of them were like, I want to reinvent myself and I know what I want to do. I want to do what you're doing. I want to do some voice acting. Could you teach me? And here we are, like I've been teaching for a year, and it's wonderful. And I'm watching people really make their dreams come true, which I love helping people. And plus, as you can tell, I love talking about voice acting. But that was part of the reinvention retreat. So you can follow me talking about reinvention or voice acting or podcasting on Clubhouse. But you can check out my podcast at Rolonda On Demand, and my voice acting masterclass at rolonda.com. And the reinvention retreat, save your free seat right now at rolonda.com. So those are the main things I've got going on. And you can catch me in a couple of movies on Lifetime TV. I think they're running Psycho Nurse and My Daughter's Psycho Friend. And then I know, and you can catch me on animations. I'm everywhere.
Titles. The titles sound a little bit like the episode titles of the old Rolonda Show.
I know, it's so funny. It's like Lifetime, who is known for their movies, just did a whole series of psycho movies, and I was lucky to play in two of them. One of them, I won't tell you which one.
Okay.
But it's something when you're reading the script and you find out.
Ooh, okay. No spoiler alert here. It's interesting to me. I love that you're on stereo now because
I thought you were going to say you like that I was on steroids now.
I like that you're now on steroids. New breaking news. No, it's interesting though that you're on stereo because that was the word that I saw at the very beginning of each one of your daytime in stereo where available. Now you are available on stereo. I'm just doing the words connecting. Times change. It's like, what is any last thing I want to ask you, any advice, speaking of these new apps, Clubhouse, lots of people not on it yet, lots of people are on it, stereo, like, is this the new direction? This is like live podcasting or the return of talk radio? Or
you know what, I think there's, like I said, back in my day, there used to be something called the party line, and you'd pick up the phone and people would be talking and you talk to all these people, and it was just something so fun about just talking. I think with the aftermath of COVID and lack of being able to connect, part of our business is going to the local coffee shop and chatting with people. We get our business done. We don't have meetings. We have parties. That's the way we work in Hollywood. And I know that there are other businesses and business leaders who work by community. You have to be around people. And we haven't been able to do that. Go play golf with our fellow CEOs or do anything like that. So when you have an app like Clubhouse that has people this is the phenomenal thing about it. It's not so much about the fact that it's all audio, no chatting, no video, just your audio, that it's all about helping each other.
What else do I need to know? This is it. We're emerging. We're good. You're still doing, 17 jobs at one time.
Yeah, honey, I am hustling. I am hustling like everybody else. Like they say, you see that swan gliding, so like Palacio on the glacier thing, and then the feet are going like this underneath. Yeah, honey, exactly. I'm hustling like everybody else. But you know what? I'm everything that I'm hustling and doing, I enjoy it. And I am determined to make it successful, and I'm learning things all along the way. But just trying something new has always been part of what my life has been about. And I have had to remind myself, here we go again. You've gotten through it before, you'll do it again. So as Della Reese told me one time, she said, talking about women's history, what a woman of history. But she told me, she said, just be the proof of the truth that you can get through anything if you believe. So that's what I say.
The proof of the truth that you can get through anything that you believe.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I love that. Well, look, when I was growing up, I owe you, because it was you and a few others that literally taught me how to talk. I mean, truly. When I was a kid, I couldn't even say my R's. I would have said Rolonda or something. I couldn't even say my R's. Now I can say Rolonda. I can enunciate. I can speak clearly. Now, yes, there was some speech therapy in there early on, but it was also my friends. I didn't have a lot of friends. You and Lisa and Sally and Montel and Mari were my friends. So I got to thank you. This means more than you know that I get to, one, have you, and two, say your name.
Well, listen,
properly.
you know something. I will give you a little secret. When I was a news reporter in New York City, I had a tough time saying my name. I would have to be standing out in Brooklyn going, "This is Rolonda Watts reporting live from Brooklyn." And if it was cold and my mouth was frozen, saying Rolonda Watts, that's a hard one. This is Rolonda Watts reporting live from Brooklyn.
Well, I adore you. And you guys want more Rolonda? Of course you do. Go to fenity.live and josephfenity.com. All her links are there. Rolonda Watts, I adore you.
I adore you too. And you've got to come over and play with me on my podcast. And I hope you folks will come and listen and download all of them.
All of them? Okay, all of them.
All of them.